What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Flow State with yours truly, Harry Mack. I'm going to update you guys on what's been going on in my world recently. We're going to talk about AI and some of the craziness. We're going to talk about some holograms and some cool tools for creators. I'm going to answer some questions from the community. I'm going to react to a freestyle submitted from one of you. I'm going to react to myself, the Rhyme Titan. And we're going to close out with some bars. You already know what it is. Let's go.
This is from my flow state. Add it. Yeah. Y'all know we back at it. Ain't it crazy how the mind works magic? We gon' show you the method behind the madness, cause this is from my flow state.
What's going on, y'all? Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know this episode of Flow State is brought to you by Ricola. As you may know, I'm a big fan of Ricola throat balm. This stuff is awesome. It is not for when you're sick. It is for daily throat care. So if you suffer from dry throat, scratchy throat, hoarseness, etc. on a daily basis, this might be the perfect thing for you. Obviously, for me as a rapper and podcaster, it's fantastic. I use my voice all the time. But for plenty of you who watch this show, maybe you are a team leader and you have to host lots of meetings or give lots of presentations. Maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're in sales, maybe you're a telemarketer. Anybody who's using their voice a lot and who knows that feeling of hoarseness and having to clear your throat throughout the day, this might be the perfect remedy for you, or really for anyone who's just tired of those daily throat irritants that we all encounter. And because this is something that's meant for daily care, you know, if you're gonna have it every day, you want it to taste good. And I can assure you this stuff tastes awesome. It has a liquid center with honey wrapped in a caramel flavored shell. Also, you should know it's gluten-free, no dyes, no colorings or preservatives, which is a nice bonus, and it uses fair trade honey. What's not to love? So if y'all are interested in checking out Ricola Throat Balm, make sure you click the link in the description. And without further ado, let's get into it. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Flow State with yours truly, Harry Mack. Very excited to be here, hanging out with you guys. We got my man Sam at the Flow Station. What's cracking?
What up?
How you doing, man?
Doing good, dude. Good to be back in the stew as always.
Always nice to be here, man. Yeah, especially enjoying the AC that is in here because it's been hot, man.
So hot out there.
Dude, LA has been hot. And heat wave sweeping the nation. I hear it's been extremely hot in Portland, where I'm from, too. So,
well, there's your Flow State weather update.
That's right. Yeah. Pull that up on a
sweeping the nation. Sounded so legit.
Yeah, dude. I'm, you know, at some point I may want to be a freestyle meteorologist. So
I believe in you. I support that.
Yeah. You know, got to keep the options open. Freestyle meteorology would be fire, you know. Freestyle news in general. There's a lane there. There's a lane there.
It's a wide open space, dude.
Hell yeah. Well, stoked to be here. Thank you, everybody who is watching and listening and checking this out and supporting the podcast in general. I've been having so much fun recently. It's been great, you know, reading the comments and hearing feedback from you guys. It's also been great getting more experience interviewing guests from all different industries and walks of life. And, you know, getting my chops together as an interviewer is a fun challenge for me as well. So thank you guys for going on that journey with me. And yeah, I'm excited for another solo pod. I wanted to just update everybody on, you know, what's been happening in my world recently. We took a trip as a full video team. So everybody that contributes to the videos that you all enjoy on YouTube and social media got together to attend VidCon in Anaheim, California. And it was really fun.
It's cool.
It was cool. It was a great experience. It was meant to be a team bonding thing. So that was kind of like the most special part of it for me personally, because we are a remote team. Some of us are based here in LA. Sam's here in LA with me, but a couple of the editors flew in to be a part of it. And it was just dope to get everybody in the same physical space, first and foremost. And it was cool. I had no idea what to expect. Basically, VidCon, for those who are unfamiliar, is like a giant event that happens at the Anaheim Convention Center, which is like this massive sprawling convention center where they have huge events and get-togethers and conventions, of course. And so this is for like video content creators. And there's kind of like multiple levels to it. So like the ground level is for fans. So people who just want to like have the opportunity to meet their favorite content creator and stuff like that, you can attend the event as a fan or community member. And then the second level is like for creators, so people like myself. And then the top floor is like an industry floor for people who, you know, manage talent in the video space or help put teams together, or, you know, lawyers and attorneys and people of that nature who are involved more on the industry side of things. But yeah, it was my first time going. I had no idea what to expect. And honestly, it was really dope. We got to do a lot of content while we were there. We filmed a lot of freestyles. We did a lot of collaborations. So stay tuned for those. Some of them may already be out by the time this pod episode drops. I have no idea. But if not, we're going to start flooding y'all soon because it was kind of the ideal place to make content because there are creators everywhere. There are fans and people who are familiar with, content creation in general and who are down to be involved in videos. And we did a lot of guerrilla bars and some fun collabs as well. So it was dope.
It was really tight. There was like live podcasts there. Saw Questlove speak.
Yeah, that was legendary.
That's cool.
Yeah, shout out to Questlove. He spoke on a panel about kind of like the future of music in this current climate we find ourselves in, and sort of how to leverage social platforms for music. And actually, that was really cool too, because I had never necessarily thought about his website Okayplayer in that light, but I was a fan of Okayplayer like back in high school. Like we would go on there and go on the forums, and there were like forums where people would share beats or share demos, people would rap or just give commentary on albums that were coming out and all kinds of things surrounding music. But yeah, the Roots were really kind of one of the first groups to have like in a sense, like a social media platform. I mean, it was a blog, but they were one of the first to sort of like bring the internet together around like a common musical culture, I guess, for like the Roots and the underground hip hop and the Soulquarians and that whole movement that they had going on. So that was kind of cool to hear him talk about that and relate that back in, I don't know when Okayplayer got started, but it was like super early, like pretty early internet, and then relating that to what we have now with all these social platforms of today. So that was really dope.
For sure. I didn't even know of Okayplayer before that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting. Like, he was really, pretty advanced in the tech side of things because, like, he didn't even mean for it to grow into as big as it was.
Yeah.
It turned out to be, like, one of the only places for musicians to put music and connect with their fans. And so he, like, opened it up to other artists.
Yeah.
Sounded like.
Totally. Yeah, that was cool to hear, too, how, like, Little Brother kind of, like, connected on the rap group Little Brother, which is a legendary group with Ninth Wonder on the beats, and Fonte and Big Pooh is the other rapper's name. And the fact that they kind of like came together as a group via the Okayplayer forum. I think that's what he said. Or maybe it was they linked up with cats overseas and that became the foreign exchange. But there's all these movements within the underground that were sort of helped along through the Okayplayer format. So that was cool to hear about.
It's really dope.
Yeah. But yeah, it was dope. Lots of content coming out too, man. We went hard.
Shot a lot of content there, man.
Yeah.
Collabed with some cool creators that were there.
Yes.
It was fun.
It was super fun. Yeah. And good team bonding too, as a remote team. I mean, even the people who are here in LA, we still mostly work remotely. Like we don't have an office, so we don't get together. We don't get to see each other throughout the week necessarily. So it was cool to come together in the physical space. I benefit from that a lot personally.
Yeah.
Because I know, of course, there's a lot of talk, especially post-COVID, about whether we should continue working remotely. A lot of big companies have like integrated hybrid models, which I think is awesome. Some remote work, but also some coming together. And then some employees are like, we only want to be remote. I personally like the hybrid, man, because I benefit from seeing people face to face.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Get me in like a conference room to present something. It's going to go a lot better than that's just the way that I operate. I kind of need to be in the room for certain things like that. But at the same time, that hybrid model's got to be the best spot because also there's so many days you don't actually have to be there.
Yeah, for sure. And I respect employees who are like, yo, I do a better job remote. I definitely think there's truth to that. But I think it can be problematic if you work remote. I mean, and especially if you like, if you're just kind of like at home by yourself for hours out of every day, I don't know if that's necessarily healthy either, So I don't know. I think it is healthy, I think, for teams to get together in the flesh, at least some of the time.
It's easier too when you're all in the same building for those like random ideas that don't necessarily like come from a meeting per se, but they just come from like being in the same space, doing the same stuff kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, the little like hallway conversations that can happen can be really pivotal. And I also just think the efficiency of working through problems in person, it's so much faster than remote.
100%.
Like things that would take 2 weeks to solve on Discord can happen in like a 10-minute conversation when we're on tour because everyone's just firing off and it's like, cool, that's what we're doing? Cool, done. But yeah, VidCon was lots of fun. Saw some interesting talks, some stuff about the current creator climate, some stuff. I got to talk in a roundtable about monetization on YouTube, which was fascinating to hear how other creators are using some of the newer monetization features that I really wasn't even aware of. Heard some, mildly scary talks about AI, the future of AI, and yeah, who knows, man? There might be a lot of AI freestyle Harry Macks out in the world sometime soon. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you've come across it a little bit, right?
Yeah, there was an AI Harry Mack song on Spotify. It's probably still there at the time of this recording, but we are actively trying to
hopefully not
to get it removed. Yeah, hopefully it's no longer there. But it was in my appears on section on Spotify. Someone had created like an AI verse. It was really funny. It seemed like large chunks. It didn't seem like a super advanced AI where it was like actually like formulating completely novel statements from me. It was like I kind of like recognized the pieces from other freestyles that I've done. So it was taking like couplets or full bars and kind of like pairing them together. But it was still a fabricated verse. Like I never actually spit that rhyme. That's crazy. Yeah. And it was funny too, because it went into this auto-tune section where I was like singing really swaggy. And then the last line of that auto-tune singing was like, and you see that I got grays in my beard or something like that. I was like, okay, wow, just leaning into the grays in the beard. Like I rap about the grays in my beard quite often. I'm proud of them. I talk about how the grays in my beard represent wisdom and stuff like that. But I don't know if it would have been my choice to like culminate this auto-tune singing breakdown, like where the drums cut out, to just end it by saying like, and by the way, I have grays in my beard. That to me was hilarious.
The dismount.
Yeah. Speaking of AI, also another update in the Harry Mack universe, and this does tie together as crazy as it might sound at first, but I had the opportunity to go on Howie Mandel's podcast. Sam was there with me. It was super fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to Howie Mandel. That guy is an absolute G. I just had such a good time and I felt so comfortable and so welcomed. He's such a nice dude and such a genuine person. And he was so welcoming to me and the team members that were there with me. And it's a hilarious and wild and bizarre ride as well. So buckle up, man, and don't watch with your kids. But we definitely had a good time. But one of the most memorable parts of being there, I will say, was before we actually started recording the podcast, Howie was showing us this insane technology that he has that I think he's partnered with in some way, or maybe he's an investor in this technology. I believe he's working with these people to do some really cool stuff. But I'm going to try to paint the picture for you guys, and it's going to be challenging, but hopefully you can go on this journey with me. Basically, there are these giant boxes that are like twice the size of a refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
And they appear to be essentially like a big, like an empty white box that would be big enough for a human being to step inside of. And there's this glass pane on the front of it, so you can see inside of it. So you can see the depth of this big white box that's about twice the size of a refrigerator, big enough for a human being to step into. Okay, so basically this box can project a super realistic hologram of a human being inside the box. Yes, here it is up on the screen. This is Howie Mandel inside the box. And so it appears that there's a human being standing inside this box, and it's very realistic in terms of the three-dimensionality of it. Like, it's not just like a screen where it's obvious that there's just this 2D projection. Like, it very much looks as though a person is standing inside the box. It has that depth to it. It's the same technology supposedly that was used to like do the hologram Tupac at Coachella and stuff like that. But that was years ago, so it's come even further along than that. It looks super real.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, also in Howie's studio, which is a super impressive space, I should say. It's this massive warehouse with tons of studios. He's got an amazing thing going on. But behind the scenes, there's basically a white backdrop with a 4K camera in front of it. And so anybody who stands at this white backdrop and addresses this 4K camera can be projected inside of the box wirelessly. So if you can imagine, like, this box can be drop shipped anywhere in the world. You could send one of these boxes to like a downtown like open air plaza in Japan, and you could drop this box down, and then I could just be at my studio at home, let's say, if I had this set up in front of a white backdrop addressing a 4K camera, and I would appear to be standing inside this box. And what's crazy is the box also has a camera at the top of it. And so you can receive a video feed back from the box. So in this example, I could be seeing what was happening in the streets in Japan from my home studio. I could have that displayed on a monitor right there next to the 4K camera, so it's a realistic sight line. And so anybody who walked by, let's say a kid skateboards by in a yellow shirt, I could say, hey, what's up, man, on the skateboard in the yellow shirt in real time. And he would stop and be like, wait, what the hell? Are you really in there? I'd be like, yeah, I'm here, man. Hey, how's it going? I'm Harry Mack. Do you want to give me some words for a freestyle? You know, and then some random person in Japan could give me words for a freestyle and see this ultra realistic 3D version of me, like the next best thing to me actually being on the street in Japan, and not that far off. Like it's absolutely mind blowing. And they've done all these cool like activations with these for brand partnerships. Like there are smaller versions of it, so you can have somebody like appear to be inside like a toy box, you know, on the shelf at a Walmart or whatever, and the toy starts talking to you, you know, and all types of crazy things like this. And one of the craziest parts was it's also integrated with AI, of course. So it was Howie Mandel pulled himself up in the box, a pre-recorded version of himself that just kind of like casually, like, you know, sort of like wavers from side to side, looking like he's just kind of chilling. Like when you're selecting your character in a video game.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're just kind of like, you know, they're just doing this cool movement, you know? And then you could ask this AI pre-recorded Howie Mandel a question, and my mind was blown. He was literally like, hey, what do you think of Harry Mack? And the AI has to think for a second, and then in Howie Mandel's exact voice with the lips perfectly matched, realistically saying it, he was just like, oh yeah, Harry Mack, he's great. Incredible freestyler, man. That guy can just go off the top for days. It's really insane to watch, man. Give him 3 words and he'll go to town. It was like that casual, right?
Yeah, it was. And then he'll even ask you a question. He like ended that and he's like, what's your favorite lyric?
Yeah.
And you could just go back and forth with Howie, not Howie. Like,
yeah, it was insane. Yeah, and you could be like, oh yeah, what's your favorite video from Harry Mack? And he's like, oh, that's a tough one, man. He's got so many bangers. Like, I'd like to see him rap for Ice Cube. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, it was insane, man.
We might have video. If we do, we'll try to put it in here. So
that'd be sick.
Real quick, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we can show we can show you guys kind of what's going on. But I mean, the possibilities were insane. Like my brain was racing because Howie was like, oh, it'd be dope if you use one of these for a video. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you could ship out 100 of them to like 100 locations across the earth, and I could be freestyling in real time for people all around the world. You know, I mean, I'm sure that's insanely expensive to do. That's probably not the first thing we would do, but it was mind blowing, man.
Yeah, it's really
it was mind blowing. You could put, I could kind of freestyle live almost anywhere in the world without leaving my home with this technology.
Yeah, you've done a lot of the classic like Zoom performances and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that's just the ultimate level up from there.
Oh yeah, this is like that on steroids for sure. Yeah. And Howie showed this thing where he was like he was interacting with people at the airport. I think it was JFK.
Yeah, it was.
And they like had this box in one of the terminals. And so like people were like gathering around the box and he was really talking to them, and he met somebody who was on AGT apparently.
That was that video, yeah. It was the like river dancer. That was at JFK.
Yeah, and they did the river dance together in real time. I mean, it's wild, dude, where this stuff is going, but man, we'll see. So yeah, that was fun, and that I think will have been out for a while by the time you guys see this podcast, so maybe you've already checked it out. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of it. Shout out to Howie Mandel though, that guy is awesome. Great time.
Yeah, podcast is Howie Mandel Does Stuff, right?
That's right, Howie Mandel Does Stuff, and we did stuff. Man. We did some weird stuff. Also, we're getting ready to start rehearsing again for festivals in Europe, which I'm super excited about. I'm going to be at Boomtown Festival in England on August 10th. And I'm going to be at Lowlands Festival in the Netherlands, close to Amsterdam. The festival is August 16th to 18th. I don't have my exact day locked in yet. If it is locked in by the time this comes out, we'll put it in the show notes. But shout out to all the fans in Europe, or if anybody's looking to do some summer travel and catch some dope music while they're out there, definitely make sure you hit those up, Boomtown and Lowlands. Super excited to start rehearsing again and getting back in the live show bag, because I haven't actually rocked a live show in quite a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a little while since the Odyssey tour.
Yeah, you kind of had the Energy Exchange and Odyssey pretty close together, and was just kind of really hitting it hard there. And now,
yep, yeah. 2 years in a row, like touring for 5 months, 5 or 6 months out of the year. So, it's been nice to have a little break from the touring, but super stoked to get back out there.
What's it going to be looking like? You still got Sir Jazz coming to these?
Oh yeah, yep. As always, Sir Jazz on the wheels. highly improvisational show. You know, I don't know what percentage it is because we've been dropping a lot of music too. So I might want to integrate some of the music into the show, but it will be highly interactive and improvisational as always because that's really my thing. And yeah, I'm excited to be on these festival stages, man. It's a different experience because it's not, you know, my core fan base that's out there necessarily. There might be some Harry Mack fans and some people who are maybe familiar with me, but then there will be plenty of people that have probably never heard of me necessarily. So that's always, I think that's good as an artist to be able to get out there and try to, you know, be undeniable.
Yeah.
Like within that one set, it's like, can I prove that I deserve to be on this stage kind of, and I love that kind of energy and that whole thing of, you know, you're only as good as your last at bat. So like, let me get out there and try to make an impact.
Yeah. It's like kind of playing on the away field in the way that like, we don't necessarily know if we'll have all the tech that we usually bring to, you know, the show, but
yeah, that's true.
It's always fun. It's always fun.
Definitely. It's going to be dope. It's going to be good. So that's what's going on with me. And as always, for these solo episodes, I want to answer some questions from the fans. We want to hear from you guys, by the way. HarryMackOfficial.com/FlowStatePod is where you can submit your questions. And you don't have to just type them out. You can do that if you want. But I would love for you guys to send some voice memos, send some videos, you know, so it can be ultra interactive. It would be awesome to see your face or at least hear your voice. If you want to type it out, you can do that too. But just letting you guys know, we got options. And generally speaking, I want to hear from you. I want to be able to answer some of your questions. Should we hit some of these up now?
For sure, dude. At some point, we got to just like get the hologram machine in here. You know, voice memos, videos, holograms.
That would be sick, dude. If I had one of those little boxes right next to me.
Let's go, man.
Oh man, hell yeah. All right. Good call. Okay, this first one is from Thomas, and Thomas says, Harry, what are your thoughts on AI? Yes, very appropriate. Right on brand with what we were discussing. Lots of artists have different feelings about it. This is true. My thoughts are still kind of underdeveloped, you know. To be honest with you, I'm usually kind of the person that just sort of like sits back and observes, you know. I kind of take it easy when these things are happening. That's the reason, like, I didn't invest in crypto, for example, you know. Maybe I should have, you know. A lot of people got rich doing that. A lot of people got hurt by it. I don't really know. But whenever it's the big trendy thing that everybody's talking about and there's that sentiment of this is the future and this is what's happening and it's happening now and get on board, I kind of like to wait until the dust settles a little bit. And I think in some ways that can hurt you because like if you want to be an early investor in Apple, like if you want to be one of those dudes that had like 10% of Apple and now they're quadrillionaires or whatever, you're never going to be that guy if you're doing it the way I'm talking about where you just sit back and wait because you're never going to be one of those early adopters. But yeah, with AI, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of sitting back and watching what happens. It's fascinating to see how fast it grows. It's incredible. Just the little videos you'll see of like this video is completely AI generated, you know, no human involvement. And those used to be just kind of like gimmicky and weird, but now they're actually like dope.
Yeah.
Like getting really good.
Photorealistic all of a sudden.
Yeah. And I mean, even just that thing with Howie Mandel answering questions in such a personable way.
Right.
Like it didn't sound like Siri. It sounded like Howie Mandel, you know, and it was very conversational and like accurate. There were no blips. There was nothing about it where you couldn't believe that was his actual answer. Mm-hmm. So that's really mind blowing. I think there are going to be lots of really helpful tools and things that just make it easier to, just speaking from my perspective, make music and make content. Yeah. I mean, look at how much easier it has become to make music in general. You used to have to have a lot of money so that you could like pay for studio time. And then there was like this, you had to have an engineer who was trained in how to use all this gear, sliders and knobs, like, and just that alone is like millions of dollars invested in having all those pieces of analog gear and to know how to use them. And you know, it was a whole operation and you had to hire musicians. And now it's like, you just need a MacBook. You know, if you have a laptop, you don't even need the best one. If you have a laptop with Logic, you have everything that was in that studio in a sense, you know? And so I think AI is just going to like take that even further in terms of how accessible it is for people to create. So I think that's positive in my opinion. You know, yeah, it might lead to a level of oversaturation, or you might worry that that's going to kind of drive the quality down because a lot of people who don't know what they're doing are suddenly going to be able to like produce things and put them out. But I personally believe that the positive outweighs the negative in that case. And I think the good stuff will kind of rise to the top, and, you know, it will still reward the people who I hope who care the most and are passionate about it. And so, you know, I think I'm a fan of new tools that help creators and empower creators. I think usually that's a good thing. And at the end of the day, we're the ones that use the tools.
You just still hope that, like, you know, movie studios will hire musicians to score it and not go this direction, or the AI is able to pump out work at such a rate that like artists can't keep up with. Regardless, I will always think the human element means something.
Yeah.
And I myself have really been enjoying the tools for video editing and
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point though. There always is the cost of jobs, you know, and to be honest, like that's been happening, like in terms of just like movies using MIDI strings instead of actually replacing the MIDI with an orchestra. Sure. You know, it's like the composer just composes the score in MIDI, and now that sounds so good. Like the hyper-sampled orchestra is so realistic that very few people would be able to tell the difference. And then the studio's like, oh, how much is it going to cost to actually hire the orchestra? And then they're like, all right, well, fuck that. Yeah. You know, the MIDI is great. Just stick with that. And that's sad, you know, for sure. I mean, there's a sadness to that. I think that it's inevitable, you know, that sometimes these things happen. It's like the whole Uber, Lyft versus the cab driver thing. You know, of course you feel for the cab drivers, but you know, then there's this technology that surpasses it because it's so much easier to use and it's so convenient. And
soon automated cars replacing Uber.
Exactly. So it is somewhat inevitable. That doesn't mean that you don't feel for people. You don't want people to lose their livelihood. That's always sad. You know, that's always really tough. So, but yeah, in the music world, that's kind of been happening. I mean, now, you know, I'm a drummer, and now like in Logic, there's like this auto drummer. Like that's kind of AI. I don't know if, yeah, I mean, I think there's just a bunch of patterns loaded into it, and you kind of like move a slider around and you get different time feels from a drummer, and like, it sounds really good, you know? Is it the same as having Bernard Purdy come play drums on your session? Of course not. You know, it's never going to, in my opinion, it's never going to replace that, even just speaking at like a spiritual level. If you have Bernard Purdy in the studio with you contributing from his heart to your music, that's the best of the best, right? But in terms of making demos and stuff like that and just cooking up beats, I mean, it's an amazing tool, and it makes it accessible to a lot of people. So I also think, you know, sometimes it's concerning thinking about myself because I have such a huge fingerprint on the internet. Like, even if you just took my live streams, there's so many hours of me freestyling to feed into an AI. Right. I mean, you could, if somebody wanted to invest in it, you could easily create the AI Harry Mack freestyler that would just be like my exact style. Right. And so then it's like, well, shit, is somebody going to do that and then train up some character that's not me, but obviously their freestyle is completely trained by me, and then I won't own that, and then that'll, you know, whatever. That's like, oh no, and then the robots take over, and like, yeah, there's some of that.
Big concern though, man. Yeah, like those deep fake technology. It just makes it hard to know what's what.
Yeah, what's authentic, and the AI version of me would be in many ways, from a technical standpoint, way better than me, because it would know the definition of every word. It would never have to ask for clarification. It would never forget any word. You could list off 1,000 words and it wouldn't forget, and it could do them in order, or in reverse order, or A, C, B, D. You know, it could do any pattern you wanted, infinite memory, and it would never have to use filler. And so in many ways it would be superior, but my take on that too is, okay, that's fine. And that's an inevitability, and that will happen across the board, not just for freestyling, obviously, but for everything. I look at it like chess. The computer first beat the human at chess like in the 80s, right? Or the 70s or 80s.
I'm not sure when it was.
It's like the first time that a supercomputer beat a human at chess. Since then, it's like now they got chess computers that play like 1 billion games a day or something like that. And the computers are way better than the top human players. Like, it's not even close. But nobody is like showing up to watch tournaments where they just sit 2 supercomputers across from each other and watch them play. It's just not that interesting. Right. Like, the excitement is watching real human beings at the best level compete. And I think that's true for what I do and for what a lot of musicians and creators do as well. It's kind of like, if the computer is way better at freestyling than any human can ever be, yeah, that's fine, but nobody really wants to see like a computer get rolled out on stage to do like this inconceivably amazing freestyle. What's interesting is that, you know, a human being shows up, and when you cut them, they bleed, you know, and like they're going to die eventually, and they're going to age, and like they're fighting their own physical limitations. And it's like, what's interesting is seeing the human brain push to its ultimate limit. And I think that will remain interesting even when the AI can do it way better. That's my take right now. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe that's too optimistic, but
like you said, man, it's moving along regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, there's got to be some consequence like tied to it. So the computer, if it fumbles or crashes, I guess a computer would do.
Yeah.
On stage, no one cares. If you like kind of struggle on stage, we're all kind of feeling the human experience with you and feeling that.
Yeah. When I start losing my voice, like the drama of that, right? Yeah, exactly, man. No, there's something, I think the human connection is going to be potentially more important as this AI stuff starts taking off. It might actually, as AI advances, like real human connection might hold more value than it's ever held, you know, not less.
It's gonna be like the hipster, like alternative records. They're like, no, like someone's still doing this. Like they're like, you know,
yeah, exactly.
Everyone else just has like AI on the radio, top charts.
Yeah, like damn, a human did this. Wow,
purist.
That's awesome. All right, let's take another question. This one is from Michael, I believe. And they ask, or they say, we spoke on Happy Hour, and you mentioned you'd done a live stream practice session that day as opposed to a performance. Yes. What's the difference between the two? And how do you ensure a practice session doesn't inevitably become a performance? This is an awesome question. Also, shout out to everybody over on the Patreon. The Happy Hour that this person is mentioning happens on my Patreon. And you guys can go over there and sign up for $5 a month. And then we have these Zoom meetings basically where you can come on a video chat with me and throw me words for a freestyle and we can interact a little bit. So it's a fun time and there's not a lot of people doing it. So high likelihood that if you join, you can talk to me on Zoom if that's of interest. Just wanted to mention that quickly. And yeah, this is a great question. Yes. I'm going to kind of answer in reverse order and start with, you know, how do you ensure a practice session doesn't inevitably become a performance? I'm actually very bad at ensuring that it doesn't. And that's why I haven't been doing these recently. I tried it for a while where I wanted to go on Twitch and just stream my practice session because in my head, it's like I'm going to practice anyway and I want to be consistent at practicing. And if I can just stream it and then we can get content from it and it's valuable to the audience as well, then that's very enticing because it's a win-win. It's like, well, I'm going to practice anyway. And if it can also be like a way that I'm engaging with my community, in theory, that would be really awesome. The problem is when I start practicing in front of the audience, I feel the presence of the audience and I don't feel like I'm giving enough value if I'm just doing exactly what I want to be doing in terms of practicing the things that I know I need to improve upon. So I inevitably get pulled into actually performing and engaging with the community because I'm like, man, if I'm showing this to people and they're showing up to watch it, I don't want to just like completely ignore them and have it be like a fly on the wall experience. And it doesn't feel right to me as a performer. Like I feel like I'm on stage. When I press stream on Twitch, I feel like I'm on stage. I would never turn my back to the audience. I never ignore the energy of the audience when we're doing a live show in a venue. And I feel similarly when I'm doing a live stream. So yeah, that's part of the reason I kind of stopped streaming the practice sessions because I need to sort of separate them in my mind. In terms of the difference, I've spoken on this a bit, but it's something I'm really passionate about. You know, I think the reason that I'm able to freestyle at the level I freestyle at is because I know how to practice. And the reason I know how to practice is because I've been playing music since I was 7. I started on the violin, and then I started playing the drums in 5th grade. And I luckily had really, really awesome teachers and support from my parents as well. And they instilled in me sort of the understanding of what it means to practice. And so practicing is not just doing the thing. Like a lot of people might assume that like to practice freestyling, you just freestyle a lot every day, you know, freestyle for 2 hours every day, and that's your practice. I am of the strong belief that that's not actually practice, although it is not nothing, right? It is valuable. I mean, if you do freestyle for 2 hours every day, will you get better? Yes, of course you're going to get better. You know, inevitably, you can get quite a bit better over time. But if you want to do anything at an elite level, I think you need to make time to actually practice. And what I mean when I say actually practice, it's identifying weaknesses And then it's creating exercises with firm rules, essentially, creating little games for yourself that are aimed at chipping away at specific weaknesses so that you can improve upon them. And so practice is like highly regimented. And you have a specific goal in mind, and you create parameters so that it's very clear to you while you're doing the exercise if you're achieving the goal or not. And if you're not able to achieve the goal at a decent percentage, then you have to simplify the exercise. So it's like you're constantly like slowing things down, shaving away like excess so that you can like get right to the thing that you're trying to work on. And so that's what practice is. And it wouldn't be something that I would want to do on stage in front of people, because it might be like, okay, I'm going to lock in on this exact triplet rhythm with 1-syllable rhymes, and I'm going to do 4-bar phrases where I rhyme with the same thing all 4 bars. So off of the top, I get in the zone. I'm 1-to-1. I'm never no clone. I do my bars direct off the dome. I send these rappers all the way home. I am the one that sips out the cup. I keep it moving, never get stuck. I bring the thunder, rappers get struck. They hella low, but I'm hella up. And I would just do that for, 20 minutes maybe over the same beat looping, so there's no distraction of a beat changing, and there's no change in the tempo, so I can really lock in on this exercise. And so practice doesn't always sound great because it's not as it's not a performance, right? It's not and then the performance, on the other hand, is where you're bringing everything together in real time without the regimented structure, and there are no rules. And so the best way to sort of like summarize this is the Charlie Parker quote, where he reportedly said, Charlie Parker, the great bebop saxophonist, the inventor of bebop, legend has it, said something along the lines of, practice your scales, practice your chords, and then forget all that shit and just play. And so that's what it is. When you perform, you forget about all the technique, you forget about all the practice, and you're just integrating everything in real time, and you're just speaking from the soul, and you're putting your emotion into it. So
it's like the root goal differs so much. Like the one is to entertain.
Yes.
And that's the pressure. And the other one is to, shape your skills so you can do that better. And it's like basketball. Like everyone wants to scrimmage in practice, just play.
Right.
But you got to go in like to that one spot where your shooting percentage sucks and run drills right there.
100%. Exactly. Yeah. And I think there's only so far you can get if you just play.
Sure.
And it's pretty far, like it's especially like if you just want to be like a very advanced amateur, you could do that for sure. You could if you just start today, freestyle 2 hours every day and do that for 10 years, you're going to be really good at freestyling. But if you want to go beyond just being like, or to your metaphor, like the illest basketball player at the park by far, but then you want to get to the point where it's like, oh, maybe you could play in college, or maybe one day you could go to the NBA, then that's where it's like, you have to create exercises, you have to shoot those 1,000 free throws from the same spot like every day or whatever it is.
Like focus on the weaknesses a little bit.
For sure.
You'll find 100 shots in that one spot, like years of scrimmaging, or you could just like knock it out in one day. Just standing there.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then do it over and over. Not one day, but you know what I mean.
No, yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a much more efficient way to do it, and also you gain a lot from doing that. I always also think of like I think it was a Bruce Lee thing where he was like, I'm gonna butcher it, but it's basically, I don't fear the man who practices 1,000 kicks one time each. I fear the man who practices one kick 1,000 times.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. It's 10,000, but yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, there you go.
100,000. And that's exactly it. Like there was a long time where I only practiced setup punchline, and I cherish that time, and it's so foundational to everything I do. Like years and years of me just trying to make that clean. And now that is just this like incredible foundation that underpins everything else that I do. And it's there for me at all times. And if I hadn't put that work in for those years to be like, I'm going to get this perfect, as close to perfect as I can get it, then the tower I'm building would be wobbly, So it's like you can build your tower kind of tall, but if your foundation is weak, eventually it's going to fall over. So that's how I think about it.
What's the difference in enjoyment for you between the two? Is it like, does practice feel like practice? You know what I mean? Like how people kind of dread to go to piano practice. Does it feel like that to you? Or is it...
No, I really love practice. But yeah, when I was young, it was a chore. And I think when you first start out, to an extent, it might feel like a chore, you know, because when I was playing violin, I really didn't want to practice. Granted, I was young, so I think that was a part of it too. You're a kid, you don't really want to like sit down in one place for a long time and have to do this really regimented thing. But also I just wasn't good yet. I didn't have any skills, you know? So when you first start out and you have no skills, then to practice can feel like a chore because there's no semblance of flow state. You're so far away from like getting to a place where you might actually be able to like hit some flow. And so that part just requires discipline where you kind of have to know where you're trying to go in the future and trust that it will be really valuable to get there. And then you just kind of have to discipline yourself and keep showing up, even though it feels like a chore, it feels like a drag, it feels like you're not any good. But I also think even pretty early on, you can create exercises that are intended to allow you to have flow state, in that like you create exercises that match your skill level. So even if all you can do is like I've shown before, like where you leave everything's a gap, and then on the 4 count you put the rhyming words. So that's like word, heard, hand, brand. Like if that's where you're at, just being able to in real time have 2 rhyming words that land on the 4 count of the bar, right? It's like the skeleton of a rhyming couplet, but with no content put into it. I think you could get into a flow doing that. It's like meditative, you know? Coffee, toffee. You know, you just like, I don't see why not, you know? That's the exact challenge. And especially if that's hard for you, then you might be able to enter a flow with it, because flow state is not about doing something easy that you've already mastered. It's about doing the thing that's like right at the razor's edge of your ability. So if you haven't spent a lot of time rhyming words, to have one ready on the 4 might be like just the perfect challenge that you can do it, but just barely. And so it'll focus you in. And so I think that's one way that we can make practice fun, is don't bite off more than you can chew. You know, the surest way to make sure practice doesn't feel flowy and fun is to try to do something that's way outside of your ability. And you're just like fucking up the whole time. You're like, I suck, you know? It's like, okay, slow it down, you know, make it easier, shave off more of it, you know? And that's the other thing I'll say too, is like when I practice, it's all about honing in on this specific technique. So I like to use random word generators, and there's a bunch of them. There's like, 9 or 10 online. Randomwordgenerator.com is one. There's others. We can put links in the show notes maybe for some of the ones that I've found that are cool. But what's great about it is you look at a screen and you look at just one part of the screen, and every time you click a button, a new word pops up there. Excuse me. So when I tried to, in my head, because I wanted to get the win-win of practicing but also having content, I was like, if I'm going to use a random word generator, let me just use the Twitch chat. It's better. It's like a human random word generator. And there's, in theory, that seems like that might be true. But the difference is in the Twitch chat, it's moving all fast. It's constantly like refreshing randomly or getting stuck or glitching. People are saying things that are not words. Like people are saying like, I've never heard of this dude. What's going on here? Or there's a little conversation between the mods and somebody else. Where do I buy merch? HarryMackOfficial.com, and that's all great. Like for a live stream, that's what's supposed to be happening. Or a hater might say something, throw you off. This sucks, put the trash can, oh God. And so even just that, having to navigate all of that is hindering my ability to shoot the layup from the same spot 1,000 times, right? But when I just have a random word generator, there's one place to look and I press a button and get a new word consistently. And it's never going to say you suck or say what's going on here. So those are the subtle differences, and those little details, they matter a lot because you only have so much mental RAM. And when you're trying to like focus all of your attention and energy on like improving at a micro skill, you kind of want to just like remove every distraction you possibly can.
For sure.
Hell yeah. What do we got here? Next question comes from Russ. What's up, Russ? What would you recommend to new artists with no prior music connections on how to find a mentor? Okay, yeah, this is a great question. So it depends on what you do. If you are trying to learn an instrument like violin or drums or piano or guitar, there's certainly teachers in your area. Pretty much anywhere. I mean, especially piano and guitar, there's going to be teachers anywhere. But, most other instruments as well, trumpet, whatever, there's probably teachers. And so for that, it's easier. You would just hop on Google and say trumpet teacher in fill in your city name.
And then what? Just get lessons or?
Yeah, sign up for lessons. Assuming you have money and can afford lessons. That would be the best way to do it if you're learning like one of the more standard instruments. And these days, even if you're learning like music production, there are often like camps, programs, some of them probably just like a specific length of time, like maybe like a 2-week music production summer camp type of vibe, which would probably be awesome. But then there are also teachers, you know, people who do Zoom lessons and you can basically pay for mentorship from people, especially now with the internet. They don't even really have to be in your city. And I would say that's true for the instruments as well. If there's no trumpet teacher in your town or you don't connect with the trumpet teacher in your small town, maybe you live in a really small town, somebody could teach you how to play trumpet on Zoom as well. That's very common. But obviously you have to be able to afford lessons and not everybody can. So that could be tough.
What about inserting yourself into a scene where it is happening? So like if there's, and that might not exist as well, but if there's like, you know, a club in town that always has this band there or something and you really want to do that, like just kind of like immersing yourself in whatever it is.
Totally, dude. I mean, yeah, that's huge. Like when I was playing jazz, it was all about like showing up to the jam sessions, you know? You show up to the jam session, and I didn't always want to do it, you know, because you get nervous, you're shy, you know, it's kind of like a musician's version of a networking event, you know. You kind of got to push yourself to do it. There's going to be resistance there, because it's a lot easier to not go, right? But it was always worth it, you know. You go out to the jam session, you get to sit in with the band. There's a house band, and then you know they call people up to sit in. Sometimes there's a sign up sheet, or sometimes you just let somebody know, hey, you know, I play as well. And it's cool, too, because you get to connect with other musicians like yourself who are just there to sit in, all different levels. You get to meet somebody who's at the same level as you. You get to also watch the cats in the house band who are usually professional players, so they're going to be at a pretty decent to very high level depending on the session. And so all of that can be really great as well. Now, I will say there's kind of like a barrier to entry for a jam session where if you're an absolute beginner, you don't want to sit in at the jam session. You know, you have to get to a certain level before you're going to sit in with the band.
What is a jam session? Like, is this just the artists? Is this like when the club's open and, you know, they're actually making music for a crowd? Or
yeah, a jam session is basically it's a gig for the house band. The house band usually plays a set, so they'll play for like half an hour or 45 minutes, just them. Mm-hmm. And then the second and third, and then after that, it opens up to a jam session, meaning younger players and people with less experience maybe can sit in. That's so cool. Yeah, like the house drummer will step down, hand me the sticks, then I go up there and I can play.
Is this a pretty jazz focused?
This is jazz focused for sure. Yeah, I don't know. There might be like funk jam sessions, and I'm sure there are.
Yeah,
but maybe less commonly.
Yeah.
But yeah, for freestylers, there are Cyphers in some cities, you know, which is the rap equivalent of a jam session. And there are like organized Cyphers. Like I know in New York, they got some stuff. Shout out to legendary Cyphers. They make a lot of cool content for the internet, but they're in the flesh. Cats can come together and go back and forth and freestyle. And there are others as well. But yeah, like outside of New York, you know, I don't know how many you're going to encounter. Same thing for jazz jam sessions. Like most of them are in New York, you know, there's some in LA, but if you're really just like in Wyoming or something like that, like there might not be a local jazz jam session.
Freestyle Cyphers go down all the time on your Discord though.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So that's, hit up the Harry Mack Discord to get your Cypher on. And there are other virtual Cyphers as well. So yeah, I mean, I think with the power of the internet, you can always find mentorship. And I would say you can cold reach out to people in a way that you never would be able to before, because you can just slide into people's DMs. So like, what if you want to play violin in a symphony? You know, there might not be, so look into see if there's a youth symphony, etc. But also you could just get in the DMs and like message any professional violinist that plays in a symphony and be like, hey, I'm really passionate and I want to do this. Like, would you consider meeting with me? I would love your mentorship, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people are going to be down because they'll feel your passion and they'll want to help you out. You also have to be ready to get some no's, you know, but what do you have to lose anyway?
Yeah, and maybe like offer to help out some way. Like I know with video, I would always like kind of, if a band was coming into town and I really wanted to film music, I didn't have a resume to like put that out there though.
Yeah.
And 1 out of like 15 would say yes. And it would typically go well, and I would offer to help like set up, tear down, yada yada, until eventually you kind of got a good batch of contacts and some experience.
Oh, dude, yeah. Offer some value. Like if you're a drummer, hit up the drummers in town and offer to be their drum tech. They will love you. Dude, the worst part about being a drummer is dragging your kit to the gig and setting it up. If you're like, hey, I'll drag your kit to the gig and set it up for you, and I'll tear it down and pack it away for you after, they're going to be like, yeah. If you're like, I'll do that for free, you'll become friends with them. You'll be really close with them. You're working around the drums constantly. Eventually they're going to be like, oh, can you just sound check for me? Now you're playing their drums. Then they show up while you're still sound checking. They hear you. They come up to you. Hey, bro, that was dope what you were playing. I want to show you something you can do with that. Yeah. Do you want to come hang on Saturday? You're in with the guy now, and then or gal, and then the next thing you know, they are your mentor. So yeah, definitely offer to provide value in any way you can. It's that classic thing of taking out the trash in the recording studio. You want to be the engineer, so you're like, hey, can I intern? Can I clean shit and take the trash out and whatever? And at least you're in the studio.
Right.
And eventually the guy's going to be stressed out trying to set up too many mics, and he's going to be like, hey, can you set up the drum mics for me? And you're going to be like, yes, I've been waiting for this moment, So I think, yeah, if you're really passionate and you're down to, pay some dues and kind of just like get your hands dirty, you can definitely find that mentorship.
It's a good way too to figure out if you're like actually wanting to go into this space, because you'll be in there and maybe you're like, you know what, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I'm not actually loving it enough to pay those dues, and maybe this isn't it.
Yeah, 100%. Sick. All right, let's see what we got. Frank is asking, what is the most important thing you've learned studying jazz composition in school? Whether it be something in art history, something in communication, or simply a raw music topic. This is a great question. And I didn't actually focus on jazz composition, just to be totally clear. I did have classes that were specifically about composing and arranging, but I was like a jazz studies performance major as a drummer. Just clarifying, because you can study specifically jazz composition. Excuse me. Most important thing I learned studying jazz composition in school, I think that, the biggest thing I learned when I was in school actually relates to what we were just talking about, which was to say yes to opportunities. The coolest thing about being at the Thornton School of Music at USC studying jazz was I was surrounded by other musicians who were hungry. There were so many ensembles within the school, as in like credited ensembles that you could be a part of. And there were even more bands that people were just putting together on their own and passion projects. And everybody was always needing a drummer or a bass player. And, I was constantly getting asked like, oh, can you play with my band on Saturday? We have a little gig at the cafe on campus. Or like, hey, do you want to be in the Afro-Latin American jazz ensemble and learn how to play timbale and conga and bongo and all those instruments? And, oh, can you rap in our group? And I had various groups that I was kind of the front person in, where I was freestyling and rapping. And it was all so educational and just so much fun. And I learned so much. And it was just like a phase where it was really important for me to try all of it. It was like say yes to everything. Most of it was not paid, by the way. It was just doing it for the love or doing it for college credit or whatever. But playing in all kinds of different situations, different environments, different instrumentations, large ensembles, small ensembles, getting together with other drummers. Like it'd be like, yo, let's have a chop session, just like 6 drummers in a room, like loud as fuck. Just like, going around the room. Everybody's taking fills, soloing over the groove at different times. And just always showing up for those hangs. Like that's where that was the biggest value that I got from being in the jazz program, for sure. More so than any of like the lecture classes or any like of the, classes with a syllabus or whatever. It was really just about playing as often as possible and not being too locked in. Like I play this kind of music and that's it, and I'm not, if it's outside of this, I don't want to do it. It's like, no, sure. Yeah. Let me try to figure it out. I think that's an important phase. And then as you do that, you start to learn what you're really into and where you want to focus most of your energy. But you got to spend a few years just kind of staying open and doing whatever you can.
Surrounding yourself with like people that are passionate about the same thing you're working on is so valuable. Like even in the Coast Contra episode, just the whole, idea of them living in the same space with the same goal. It just goes such a long ways. Huge.
Sick. Well, should we take one more?
Sure.
Let's see what Zach has to say. Zach is asking, how long does a typical song take for you to write? What does that process look like or include? Great question. It really depends, and it's different every time. I mix my process up a lot. I don't like to be too locked in to doing it just one way. But I can try to walk through a couple processes that I have used. So for Should I Write This Rhyme, I wrote that rhyme during my morning pages. So I've been doing this morning pages ritual for like 6 or 7 years now. And it comes from The Artist's Way, which is a book by Julia Cameron, which I've talked about a few times on the pod. Definitely check it out if you do creative work, especially if you're feeling stuck. It's really awesome. But the thing that I got from it the most was the morning pages, which is essentially every morning, the first thing I do after I pour my first cup of coffee is I sit down and I have a journal and I write 3 pages in the journal. And that's it. It can be anything. So you could write anything you want. You could write the same sentence over and over and over. I basically, generally speaking, it's like an outpouring of my thoughts. I'm just like thinking on the page. So I'll be like, here we go, another day, it's sunny outside. What am I thinking about? Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. Yesterday I was thinking about this. And sometimes it's just totally random gibberish that no one would ever gain anything from reading. Other times you like learn really pivotal things about yourself. Like sometimes the morning pages, a couple sentences in, I hit on a topic that apparently I'm passionate about. And the next 3 pages are like fairly articulate prose about that thing. And afterwards I'm like, damn, this is an important one. Like I should remember this date, Tuesday, July, whatever. I actually did a deep dive on this and wow, I didn't even know I felt that way. So it just varies. And then for a while I was writing lyrics during the morning pages. And that was feeling really rewarding. So the song, Should I Write This Rhyme, I actually wrote each verse is 1 page of the 3 pages of the morning pages. And that process takes like half an hour to 45 minutes. So that was that. But then I had to record it and I did a few different takes to try to get the delivery right. So all in, it probably took a couple hours.
Did you stress about it being perfect when you were doing that?
When I was writing it, no, not really.
Just kind of allowing it to build.
Yeah, it's like a written freestyle, like I just push through.
That's cool, man.
Just to get something. Yeah. But it basically flowed out the way that it ended up being on the song. I only tweaked a couple little lines here and there, maybe a couple little wordings, but basically that was the way that it was. And then other songs, it's like I freestyle, like 2024, produced by Sir Jazz. Shout out my dude Jazz. That one I just did a 1-take freestyle for the verses, and then I left a space for the chorus, and then I went back in and I kind of was like, oh, what should I do for the chorus? 2024. Well, we got, okay, that's enough. And then I hit record and I kind of like freestyled the chorus as well. Like freestyled it after kind of thinking like, how should I start it? So kind of a little bit of a hybrid. And then there was that version that existed for a while, but it wasn't really that like zeroed in content wise. So then I went back through and I kept the cadence of it exactly the same, pretty much as close as I possibly could. But then I changed what some of the actual words were to make it more about like, the theme of the song, right? Which was like me elevating in 2024. I made it a little bit more like reflective about where I've been and like where I am now and how I feel positioned to take it up a notch in this new year. And I made it more sort of focused around aspirational stuff because the freestyle version was a little bit more filler and just kind of random. And it was really dope rhythmically. And the cadence of it was really natural and organic. And that's one of the benefits of doing it as a freestyle is all of that stuff feels so natural and organic and it feels really good. So like the spirit of it was there. So I didn't want to mess with that. But then I just wanted to sort of like hone the actual content of the lyrics a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, the freestyle version took 5 minutes to get. And then the finalized version, I probably put another hour or 2 in on just like cleaning it up and fixing it and making the content a little bit better.
Does that theme come first though?
Not always. Sometimes it does. Other times I just kind of start rhyming and see what happens. I also love battle rhymes, as you all know. So I like just rapping about rapping. And so that can just kind of start, you just start barring out and kind of like seeing where it takes you. And even outside of battle rhymes, sometimes you just start and then the theme kind of like reveals itself to you.
Yeah. You catch a vibe that you're just kind of having fun with, and you're like,
yeah,
all right, well, I guess that's the vibe.
Exactly. And I do like songs that kind of aren't always completely on the nose with what they're talking about. Like there's like, even if it's like 80% thematic, that extra 20% of like seemingly randomness to me is sometimes the magic of the song. Like a lot of my favorite MCs, they're not always just like, this is what the song's about and it's obviously about that. They might do that sometimes, but then also there's room for just like some abstraction, you know?
It's like transferring like the energy of it is more important. Like how it makes you feel. And I'm the same way.
And you can kill it both ways. Like obviously like Stan by Eminem is like a legendary song, right? And that's like, there's not like room for 20% of like, now he's not writing the letter. Like what's he like that is a epic song that is very honed and very focused. But yeah, I feel like a lot of Nas songs, like a lot of songs on Illmatic are like flowing in and out of things, it's more of like an energy. It's like, this is where his brain's at overall at the time. A couple battle rhymes, a couple social commentary lines randomly, a couple spiritual reflection lines, back to some battle rhymes, just kind of like an outpouring, So I like both.
So is that your tip? If someone is trying to write a song and doesn't really know where to start, just either start flowing like you did with the morning pages, or just start kind of like getting out, like, just freestyling bars. How do they get over that initial entry there?
Yeah, I would say one or the other, and it's not important whether you're just writing morning pages non-judgmentally or just getting on the mic and recording non-judgmentally. But the key is that non-judgmental part. Like, I always say this, shout out to Rick Glassman, because when I was on his pod, we made a whole thing out of it, but make it feel like finger painting. When you're a kindergartner or preschooler, finger painting, it's totally free. And you're not thinking like, damn, I hope I kill this. Like, oh man, I hope my mom wants to frame this. You don't give a fuck. You're just finger painting. It's totally free. It's about getting messy. So if you're just starting out, whatever the process is, some people like to write and some people just like to go right onto the mic. Doesn't matter. As long as it feels completely non-judgmental and fun, don't even worry about how you're using it. Don't try to make a song. Just start blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Let some stuff come out. Because until some stuff comes out, you don't have anything to mold and work with anyway.
For sure. Makes sense.
Hell yeah. Shout out to everybody that sent those questions in. They were fantastic questions. I really enjoyed answering them. And I love doing this, man. This is great. It's good for me too. I get to reflect and it's like, what do I really think about that? So appreciate you guys for challenging me and stretching me and asking these great questions. HarryMackOfficial.com/flowstatepod. Send me your questions. I'm waiting for somebody to send a voice memo, man. Somebody do it. Send a voice memo. First person to send a voice memo gets 10,000 Mac points.
Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, the exchange rate is constantly fluctuating, but yeah, somebody do it, man. I'm excited, but thank you guys so much. We're going to check out a fan freestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. We had Zach Lambert sent one in here.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Zach Lambert. Let's see what you got.
Let's get it.
Shout out to Harry Mack. Shout out to the Flow State podcast. We're doing a rap here off the dome of the podcast. So let's get into it. Yo, 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 yo. Yeah, 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 yo. Yo, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, 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 yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, 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 yeah. You know I'm rapping, I'm doing this shit, and I'm back like Aladdin. I got me the carpet. You know that I'm doing this shit that I'm doing. I'm raising the market. I'm loving the rap every day, and I'm shoving the crap out my way, cause you know that I'm back, and my name it is Zach ZLAM. That is my fucking channel. You know that I got me the subscribers like 27. I don't give a fuck, cause you know I'm fucking never winning. I'm only fucking small. Yeah, that's fucking right, and I'm fucking tall. I don't give a care when I rap. You know that I ball. You know that I fucking got the skill. You know that is fucking undeniable. When I fucking rap, you know I do it for Harry Mack. If you're not sub to him, that's a fucking scary fact, and you're fucking very whack. You're a scaredy cat. I don't give a fuck.
Hey,
let's go.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Zach, man. LAM. Zach Lambert, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I heard him say Zach LAM. That's the channel.
Got the plug in.
Dude, hell yeah. That's fine. Hey, man. Do it, dude. I respect the hustle, man. I respect the hustle. That was dope. So my here's what I liked. So first of all, I heard you doing the yo, like getting ready to come in. And that's an important thing, man. A lot of people, you know, some people joke like, they'll comment like, what, yo, yeah, ... you know, because like I start every freestyle, like there's a lot of yo's, what's, yes. And, you know, it's always the comment of like, imagine he never started rapping, which would be really funny to just do the troll version where you just never stop doing the, People have been making fun of that forever. I feel like SNL back when I was like in grade school had skits about the rapper that just keeps saying, yeah, right? Like if you don't rap, then you might be like, why do they always do that? Like, why don't they just come in with the verse, you know? Well, the reason why we always do that and we don't just come in with the verse is because it's really helpful to warm up into the cadence and the feeling of the beat. You know, if the first sound that you utter on the track is like your actual first bar, you're just going in cold. So it's like you want to start to feel the beat. Like if you ever go see a band play, like any band, I guess nowadays there's usually tracks and they have count-offs in their ears. But let's say you go see a jazz band just like at a local club. A lot of times the band leader who's in charge of counting off the song, like setting the tempo, you'll see them like they start snapping. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. And then everybody's off, you know? So why don't they just say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, you know? Because they're trying to imagine what the groove is going to feel like, you know? And usually it's really helpful to bring that into your body. It's physical. That's why they're snapping, the head's nodding. Okay, start uttering a sound so that you can imagine what the groove is going to feel like. And that way you're not going in cold. You're a little bit comfortable with that groove before you dive in. And so that's why we do a lot of the yo-yo's, yes, and stuff like that. So that was cool. That was good that you were doing that and warming up into the groove. Also, you came in snapping with the clean triplet flow. I really liked that. Like that was super clean triplet flow. Like you were locked in on those triplets. Very musical way to do that. And then halfway through you snapped into the, 30-second note, double time, like different cadences and mixing it in. So I thought like rhythmically it was really musical and you were switching it up, which is like what we should be doing over these trap beats, especially. They invite a lot of like rhythmic variety and you were going for it. So that was really dope. I liked that you put the plug in, shouted out your name. And then I liked at the end how you blasted off a lot of like Harry Mack, multisyllabics. Harry Mack, scaredy cat, this is scary fact, barely rap. You really went off. Let's hear that part again.
Yeah, for sure.
When I rap, you know that I ball, you know that I fucking got the skill, you know that is fucking undeniable. When I fucking rap, you know I do it for Harry Mack. If you're not sub to him, that's a fucking scary fact, and you're fucking very whack. You're a scaredy cat, I don't give a fuck.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that was fire, man. Snapping with the multi-syllable. So obviously you understand multi-syllabic rhyming, which is crucial. My constructive criticism would just be to start working on weeding out the filler. And I think in your case, it's like the I don't give a fuck, right? Which is a very popular filler phrase. Also probably a really helpful filler phrase psychologically, right? Like I'm talking about, you have to make it feel like finger painting, i.e. you shouldn't give a fuck, you know? And so I think that's really helpful. Like a lot of beginner freestylers use that because maybe they're messing up, they're making mistakes, it's not coming out the way that they want it to come out, or they say something that's kind of random or kind of weird, and then you can immediately follow it up by saying, I don't give a fuck. So I think that's dope. Like in terms of mindset, like yes, that's where you want to be, but then if we rely on it too much, it becomes noticeable as filler. And then I think the other one you were using was like, you know that, or I know that, and variations of knowing that. This stuff is all really common, especially over these tempos where you expected to rap double time. That's not easy to do. So my advice would just be, make sure you slow it down as well and like practice really specifically, like trying to weed out some of those filler phrases. And what you can do when you're practicing and not performing is you can create exercises where you leave a gap at the beginning of the bar. So if you're used to using a filler phrase, like I used to always say, hey, yo, it's Harry Mack. I'm going off the top. And when it come to rhymes, yo, I really don't stop. Hey, yo, it's Harry Mack. I'm live on the mic. And even from a distance, I be ready to strike. I do what I do. Every time I spit, I'm repping for my crew. heavy like an anvil. When I spit, I be lit like a candle. So just leaving that gap instead of saying, hey, yo, it's Harry Mack. Again, this is when you're practicing, not when you're performing. You have the leeway. You can just always leave that gap. And you might find that you like the gap because leaving space is very musical. And sometimes it's the perfect thing to do anyway. And it gives everybody a chance to breathe, you and the audience. Or you might find that you want to add some content into that gap, and you can work towards doing that as well. But at least you're not just reactively saying the filler phrase. So either way, you're getting better. Like you're noticing the filler phrase before it happens. You're just kind of biting your tongue. Right? So you're leaving a gap instead of saying the filler phrase. And then it's up to you whether leaving the space is sufficient and something you actually want to do in your performance, or whether you want to start training up being able to actually fill that in with like coherent, meaningful content that adds to the bars. But yeah, that would be my advice. Shout out to Zach Lambert, man.
That was dope. That was dope.
Hell yeah. Much love. All right, sick. Now I'm going to react to myself. A somewhat scary experience. But something we love doing here. We're going to do one that I have often cited as my favorite from the Omegle Bars series, which is the Rhyme Titan. This was posted on June 11th, 2021. Me tapping in with some guests from Norway. Omegle Bars is very international. And apparently this has 2.6 million views. God damn.
Just on the main Omegle Bars 40 episode. It's on the Clips channel. It's on TikTok, but that's just the main YouTube there.
Even more, man. Crazy. And over 10,000 comments. So, yeah, I often cite this one as my favorite because I remember watching this after it came out. I had forgotten about how it went. And I actually sat there on Instagram and watched the clip, and I was like, wow, that was a good one. I was impressed by it the first time I watched it. I haven't watched it in a long time, so we'll see if that still holds true. But here we go, the Rhyme Titan.
Yo.
Yo, what's up?
Yo. Search channel. Are you a pre-recording?
What? No, I'm real.
Say knife if you're real.
Knife.
Say your favorite anime if you're real.
My favorite what?
Anime.
Anime? Oh, Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon?
Never watched
I'm gonna
it.
watch that one. It's on my watch list.
Me neither. Where are you guys from?
Sweden. What about you?
Oh, nice. I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles, California. You said that with so much confidence. Well, sounds so cool. Los Angeles, California.
But if you're from Los Angeles, shouldn't you have confidence?
You're like, I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Like, please, we're from a place named Denmark in a little place in Sweden.
I'm not from Denmark, I'm from Funbo.
From where?
Funbo.
How do you
We're
say
doing
that?
the Swedish lips.
Funbo.
Funbo. That's what's up. That's what's up. What are you guys doing?
Sitting here.
Yes, me too. Also sitting here.
Yeah.
Well, not there, but here, you know, relative to my location.
We're in Los Angeles, California.
Yes, Los Angeles, California. Hey, can I do a freestyle rap for you guys?
Yeah,
More
sure.
talented people.
You sound like a YouTuber.
I am a YouTuber.
You are.
But
Drop it.
I'm mainly a freestyle rapper, so I want to show you guys what that's all about. But I need your help.
Yeah.
Can I get like 3 like crazy random words to inspire my freestyle?
Cartoon, Titan, and death.
Death? She was ready. Cartoon, Titan, like Clash of the Titans, like Titanic.
No,
Yeah,
no, we're just
Titan
looking at
as in
shit
like
here.
Titans from like Attack on Titan.
Like a giant.
Like a giant. Yeah, for sure.
Titans in Greek mythology. If you're
Greek
into
mythology.
that.
Right. Okay, for sure. So, cartoon, nice. Titan, and then was there one more?
Death.
Death. That's right. Death.
At this point, do you start constructing anything? Now that you have the words, like concepts of anything? Or are you still just ready when the beat goes? You're waiting for it?
I think maybe, like quick automatic associations come to my mind. Like Titan, I'm probably like, okay, Zeus, Hercules, da-da-da. But I don't, it's not really that conscious.
Sure.
It's more so I'm just like, let me remember them.
Yeah, you're kind
Like,
of
let me lock them in.
going into that bag a little bit of what you have to work with.
Yeah. And then sometimes during the intro of the beat, I might think about how I'm going to come in on the first word. But yeah, no, there's not really much planning that can happen. It sort of has to happen once I start flowing.
For sure.
Yeah. Also, this is funny too, because this is when I had just like the super wet reverb on my voice the whole time. So even during the convo, I'm just like in a church somewhere. And also, these girls are so sweet and endearing.
That's what I was just gonna say.
They're so entertaining. Like it looks like they're Yeah, they're like made for this, man.
The convo they had about like how you said Los Angeles, and they just like broke it down from each side.
She's like, if you're in Los Angeles, shouldn't you be confident?
So good.
Hell yeah.
Dude, soon AI Mac, they'll be able to answer these questions.
Well, yeah, that's the other
Say
thing.
knife.
Like, after I said knife, and then when she said, okay, say your favorite this, and I said, my favorite what? It's like, dude, we've proven it. I mean, Howie Mandel might argue otherwise, but. Oh my God, I love it. All right, I'm ready. Should I drop this beat?
Yes.
All right, let's get it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yo, this rapper's like, I'm nice. I'm like, you ain't really hard, dude. You ain't even real. You remind me of a cartoon. So stop lying, put that fake gad away. You remind me of shows we used to watch on Saturday morning. Check the way that I'm performing, do it big. Hey, I go to beats like cartoons go to kids. Hold up, let me break it all down. You know that they cannot hate it. I'm the rapping cartoon, I'm so animated. Hey yo, I lay it down properly. I'm known for putting all my words together logically. And when I drop a free, never sloppily. Hey yo, I'm looking for the paper they gon' offer me. Now check it out, when I'm striking to the greatest ever, I shall be a liking because I'm rolling like a titan. H-Mac in this game of rap, I'm about to triumph. Titan like Titanic or Titan like a giant. Hold up, then again I'm about to shift up every policy cause I'm a fucking titan like I'm out of Greek mythology. Here to get loose, check out the language I produce. I'm the titan and I'm striking like the lightning that's from Zeus. Whoa, check the way that I'm killing it when I'm ciphering. Better bet my lyrics be more wetter than Poseidon. Roll with Aphrodite on the nightly. Rappers wanna strike me, Greek mythology, they wanna fight me. For certain we gon' hurt MCs, I'm flexing like I'm Hercules. I'm overheads like turbans be, I'm shocked they never heard of me. I'm back again to rap for them for these styles they be thinking. Shout out to the girl in the black cap and the blanket. Yeah, I break it down for my people, I kick the flows that they repeated. I'm in LA, they out in Sweden. I was like, I'm from Los Angeles, California. That's my vibe, I rep that shit with pride. Yeah, I gotta say it like I'm proud. When I say the city that I'm from, I say it loud. Hey, I'ma kill it when I rhyme, and can't nobody fuck with that. I'ma go over some heads just like your white bucket hat. Yeah, I see you nod and do this often, Harry Mack. I spit until I'm out of breath. AKA, I'm about to rhyme until the day I meet my death. Yeah, I'm never stopping, I'm a problem. Microphone rocking till the day they lay me in the coffin. Yeah, and y'all know that I'm hard, I'm the greatest. Even if I die, fuck it, I'll be reincarnated as the greatest rapper of the future generation. So death is just another wall that I'm penetrating. I'm innovating, I'm improvising with the great stuff. Or maybe when I die, I'll decompose into space dust. And when that happens, I'll consider it a miracle. I feel I was always meant to be part of raw materials from which we mold the future we on. Hey, when it be coming to lyrics, y'all know that I'm coming in strong. Listen, y'all know I'm the greatest one you ever heard that's on my life. They were like, are you real? Nah, wait, say knife. So I said knife, then I cut through like the blade. Matter of fact, I'm here to show you that I'm really getting paid. Look, I stay fly. Knife? I was like, say it? Why? She was like, I'm trying to assess if you are AI. I'm not a robot, although my flow's hot. Never been mechanical. I grip up on the mic and then I damage you. Yeah, we be in this session about to get major soon. Add me to your watch list right there after Sailor Moon. What?
Oh, that's like the best thing I've seen today. Just gets better and better. Holy shit. How?
How do you make that up in like 2 minutes?
Like just full of references.
Thank you.
Everything we said in our conversation was like in that, and then way more.
Big applause.
Thank you.
Now, did you have a YouTube channel? Because I'm gonna need that.
Yes.
Yeah. I will follow you.
Let me add it to the chat right
All
now.
right,
Hell yeah. I go by Harry Mack. Damn. Yeah, man. Dude, shout out to those girls. They're so awesome. Yeah. They're so awesome. It just gets better and better. Oh, so sweet. Yeah, dude, that was a crazy one. Yeah, I remember now what I was thinking when I watched it too so long ago was like, it just felt very well packaged. Like in terms of like the word, every word got addressed very thoroughly. And then the way it wasn't just like, here's the 3 word schemes and now here's visual. It was like little references to things from the conversation, kind of like as transitional materials, and then like go visual for a while, then pull it back to death. And it was just, it came together nice, man. It came together nice. Yeah.
The space dust part blows my mind.
That's the best part. The death scheme is the best part. And I was going to say too, I didn't want to pause it. I was like, let's just watch it straight through. But The death part was like flow state. Like that, I even, when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm just like, it's like I always say, I always compare it to those skiers going down like those Olympic level cliff type runs, and you just can't mess up, you know? And it's just like you're all in and you just push off and you go. Because once it got to the death part, there was less like, hey, yo, or like even the like, it's Harry Mack and when not dead. You know, there was like the filler kind of went away and it was like coherent couplets, which when that's happening, you just kind of embrace it, you know, and you just kind of go with it. And you're just on the run. You can't think about like, oh shit, I'm killing it now. Because as soon as you think that, you're going to fall, you know? So you're just like, it's just like this light separation almost where you're just like, okay, like this is happening. It's like you're watching it happen kind of, and you keep this light sort of safe distance from it. Because yeah, that part I was really kind of like coherently saying my thoughts about death without filler. And you don't know when you're, that just happened. I just happened to hit flow state during that part, you know, it's kind of out of my control. And even the way that it was well arranged and like I'm saying, how it all came together nice. It's not because I was like making it that, you know, like it wasn't really like I was controlling it and being like, okay, I'll chapter it this way and now I'll do this and now I'll do that.
Right.
It's again, it's like what we were talking about, like the years of practice, like true practice by myself, working out all the little things and then practice your scales, practice your chords and then forget all that shit and just play. And that's what happened here. It's like you let go of all the technique. You don't think about it. You just go. And because of practicing how to scheme thematically and practicing how to connect rhymes and practicing these couplets and different styles and all that, it all kind of like came together serendipitously in the moment in a really good way.
It's so dope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The flow state, even with the skiing thing that you just mentioned, it's like you can't think that, oh, I'm killing it right now. But also you're not even thinking really about the danger, right? Or else you wouldn't take it to like that cool spot where it's more technical.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Exactly. It's like you don't think, oh, I'm killing it right now. But you also don't think like I should pull this back to something more controllable.
Right.
You're just like doing it. Like I imagine that's how it feels when you're surfing a big wave.
Yeah.
You know, you're like going for the wave. Like the safe thing would be to not go for it. So you're not doing the safe thing, but you're also not, you're not like, it's the
safe.
It's the perfect balance. Yeah, it's the perfect balance.
That's cool, man. Yeah, this video goes crazy. Like just even pulling it up, I found all these videos breaking down the lyrics with like the, what do you call it? When people really like highlight each bar.
Oh yeah, like the rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme. Yeah.
There's so many of those. There's one guy who did like all of the references in real time. So like all these cartoons and like
that's
stock video.
I gotta check that out. Hell yeah. Cool. That's dope. Man, well, another super fun episode of Flow State. Shout out to everybody who contributed. Shout out to my boy Zach who came through with the freestyle. Shout out to everybody who asked those super thoughtful questions. I loved answering them. And we're going to close this thing out the way we always do, man, with some off-top bars.
Let's go.
Let me pull the beat up. Yeah. Yeah. Come on, I said 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Listen. Yeah. We about to enter flow state. Every time I'm on the beat, I gotta go ape. Doing something different, having fun with the flow. Let me reminisce now and run you through the show. Other MCs getting spit on, I'm the big don. Had to film a lot of content out at VidCon. Coming together with the team in the flesh. That's when it means the most, we the best. Representing for the West. When I'm coming off the tip of this, the rhymes I provide to the fans are ridiculous. Come through and get with this. Y'all know I'm raising hell. Live next to Howie Mandel. I had to hop up on the pod. So hype, I might have to stage dive. He blew my mind with the AI technology. You know I'm about to spit it. Haters do it big and greater when inside the big refrigerator transmitter. Go drop it off in Japan just so I can prove Harry Mack's the man. Throw a rhyme up in the air, it attaches to the clouds, never lands. Back on mine, steady repping for my brand. Doing the better off at the top, speaking the language that's universal. Me and Sir Jazz about to lock in for rehearsals so that I can hop on stage and bless the flows and see the fans out in Europe tear up at the festivals. So come and get with the true sound. Rocking out at Boomtown, taking it to lowlands. I'm a real pro fam, nice with the flow. Damn, I don't face no jams, I just slam right to the granite. I'm at the helm and the ship I'm about to man it. Even under pressure, yo, the Mac don't ever panic. Moving down the triple black diamond, sick flows when rap rhyming. I be lit like candles at the vigil. I'm in a whole nother level, in a whole nother zone. 1-to-1 flow is never cumbersome, and I'm no clone. I'm the G.O.D. who easily puts styles together. They know that I'm wildly clever. When rocking over the boom bap, I only deliver the true facts. Mac be killing it up every time that he's spilling the fans. They knew that forever. Keeping it clever, born tough as leather. When I get loose on this rhyme endeavor. Now peep it. Speaking of AI, will they try to imitate? Will the technology continue to innovate? Will we find ourselves in a situation like Terminator, steady getting burned by haters or machines? I think that I will remain blessed, and I think the freestyle realm will be like chess. Yes, you have supercomputers that can play 1 billion games daily, and I would agree that's crazy, but still, we don't want to see two supercomputers battle like some weird chess contest from the future. You see, it's different when I bless the zone. Y'all feel for me, cause I'm made of flesh and bone. When you cut me, I bleed, and one day I'm gonna die. I couldn't live forever even if I tried. Someday I will be stopping from some type of internal problem that got me dropping in the coffin and turning into space dust, raw materials, and that's part of what makes life a miracle. So we all come together, never panicky. The tools will advance, but we cherish humanity. The human spirit in my lyrics when you hear it. So the AI revolution, you know Mac ain't gotta fear it. Matter of fact, I'm not done summarizing with the heat. I'm about to press play on the secondary beat. Let's go. Yeah, okay, yeah, come on, yeah. Look, I said, change in the game, that's what I was meant for. For all the young musicians looking for a mentor. A job you wanna get it done, whether you be learning violin, trumpet, or the drums. Reach out to the teacher if you can afford lessons, but even if not, you can still bring blessings into your reality, and I'll give you the how-to. Reach out to anyone, offer to bring value. If you're down to set up somebody's drum set, yeah, they gon' put you on, son, bet. They gon' have you show up to every gig, every venue, cause you put real value on the menu. Yeah, if you wanna work inside of a studio, offer to be your intern so you can do the duty, bro, of taking out the trash and cleaning up the room and vacuuming the floor. Then you will be on soon. Eventually they'll ask you to get up right on site so that you can set up mics. Good way for you to analyze if you want it, cause you gotta test the water first before you dive in, to be honest. And that much is a promise, you know I'm hopping on it. I'm so sick when I spit, dog, I truly vomit. I show up to throw up, I glow up, and yo, I go up higher and higher, deliver it fire. They admire how I be ripping this, come get with this ridiculous. We're making them connections, flowing in all directions. It's effortless. Y'all know that I couldn't act this. You must know the difference between performance and practice. Yeah, you can feel it when you press play. Practice your styles, then forget that shit, then just play. We doing it like Charlie Parker, the freestyle sparker. Y'all know I'm the author of every line I deliver. I gotta practice scales to make sure my music bumps like Braille. Hey yo, I gotta practice all of the chords. Gotta practice all the rhyme schemes I absorb. I gotta practice all the different vocal inflections. I gotta practice pulling words from every direction. And after I practice, I forget, then I synthesize. Then I let go from the soul, I just improvise. In the moment when I'm breaking out the cage, take it from the practice room onto the stage. Thought I could blow up like a bomb threat from somehow combining my practice routine with my content, but some things must be kept separate. Down is how these rappers never get my lyrics the cleverest. Feeling like I'm skiing from the very peak of Everest with Sherpas, the most hard worker. Here to serve ya, off the tip of this, the background lurker. Back for more with raps galore. I hit you hard and get you scarred when I throw down. Y'all know the flow's profound. I be dropping knowledge, reminiscing on my times at USC College. What did I learn back then that left me most blessed? Honestly, I learned how to say yes. What do I wanna do? I'm soon to see, but for these years, gotta take the opportunities. Nowadays, I just rap and blast, but I was playing pop, playing Latin jazz. I was playing rock and roll and lots of soul. It was kinda like playing hopscotch, bro. From one genre to the next, the 1, the 2, the 3, and learning how to stretch musically. Yeah, using my words, also using my drumsticks, and even learning keys, something I could have fun with. Learning how to produce up in Logic or Ableton. Nowadays, they call me the rhyme alien, but could I have gotten here? Could I have known my path was this clear before other options appeared? You gotta learn how to weigh 'em, lyrically slaying, Mac never playing, got you decaying. Y'all know they fraying all at the seams. H-Mack truly getting busy on the scene. I'm spitting something clean when I'm all up on the pod. Nowadays, they call me the freestyle god. Flow is heavenly forever. We get loose when I get tacked. Freestyle submission came from the homie Zach. Thanks so much for sending it. Yeah, it ain't nothing odd. HarryMackOfficial.com/flowstatepod. Someone hit me with a freaking voice memo so that I could truly bless you on this instrumental. The first one to do it will truly be the joint, and I'ma issue you 10,000 Mac points. Yeah, most certainly, y'all know that the exchange rate seems to be moving at a strange rate. I'm in an insane way when I start spitting with my eyes closed, slinging every rival. There ain't no survival. Dive low, deeper to the ocean. All my maneuvers be smooth, no lotion. I goes in, leave you frozen like the Arctic when I spark it. And when it come to freestyle artists, I'm the hardest. They hungry, but I'm starving. They human, but I'm Martian. As one of the illest off at the dome, they will regard them. Anytime I rhyme, and you know I rock the show great. Speaking from the soul when we out here in flow state. Wah.
Let's go.
We out. Much love, everybody. Peace.